Good morning, Ajahn.
Good morning and Happy New Year, everybody.
Happy New Year, Ajahn, and everyone. Good morning, brothers and sisters in the Dhamma. So let us pay respect to Ajahn by bowing 3 times. First bow. Second bow. Third bow. We'll begin with chanting. We will invite Ajahn to lead us in the chanting, please.
Okay, so we start the New Year's with the Buddha verse on loving kindness. Now let us chant the Buddha verse on loving kindness. Karaniya matha kusalena yantang santang patang abhisamecha sakko uchu cha suhuchu cha suvajo cha samuthu anatimani santu sako cha suparo cha appakicco cha sallahukavutti santintriyo cha nipako cha appakappo kulesu ananukitto naจะคุดทั้งสมาจเรกินจิเยนะวินยูปะเรอุปวัตเทยุงสุขิโนวาเคมิโนโหนตุสัพเพสัตตาภวันตุสุขิตาตาเยเกจิปานภูตัตถิตสาวาทาวราวาอนวเสสาทีคาวาเยมหันตาวามัชฌิมารัสสกาอนุกัทุราทิทาวาเยจะอทิฏฐาเยจะทุเรวสันติอวิทุเรภูตาวาสัมภเวสีวาสัพเพสัตตาภวันตุสุขิตาตานปโรปรังนิโกเพทนันติมันเยทกัตถจินังกินจิพยาโรสนาปฏิกสัญญานัญญมัญญัสสทุกขมิจเฉยมาตายธานิยังปุตตังอายุสาเอกปุตตมนุรักเขเอวัมปิสัพพโพเตสุมาณสัมภาวะเยอปริมาณังเมตัญจะสัพพโลกัสมิงมานะสัมภาวะเยอปริมาณะอุทธังอโทจติริยัญจะอสัมภาทังอเวรังอสปัตตังทิฏฐัญจรังนิสินโนวาสยาโนวายาวตัสสวิคตมิทโธเอตังสติงอทิฏฐิยพรัมมะเมตังวิหารังอิทธมาหุติทินจะอนุปคัมมสีลวาทัสสเนนะสัมปันโนกาเมสุวินัยเขทังนหิชาตุคัพพเสยยังปุณเรติติ Now let us chant the Buddha verse on loving kindness. This is what should be done by one who is skilled in goodness and who know the path of peace. Let them be able and upright, straightforward and gentle in speech, humble and not conceited, contented and easily satisfied, unburdened with duties, and frugal in their way, peaceful and calm and wise and skillful, not proud and demanding in nature. Let them not do the slightest thing that so wise would rather reprove, wishing in gladness and in safety. May all beings be at ease, whatever living beings there may be, whether they are weak or strong, omitting none, the great or the mighty, medium, short or small, the seen and the unseen, those living near and far away, those born and to be born. May all beings be at ease, whatever living being there may be, whether they are weak or let none deceive another, or despise any being in any state. Let none through anger or ill will wish harms upon another, even as the mother protects with her life her child, her only child. So with the boundless heart, should one cherish all living beings, radiating kindness over the entire world, spreading upwards to the skies and downwards to the depths, outwards and unbounded, free from hatred and ill will, whether standing or walking, seated or lying down, free from drowsiness. One should sustain this recollection. This is said to be the sublime abiding by not holding to fixed views. The pure-hearted one, having clarity of vision, being free from all sense desires, is not born again into this world. Okay, so now we sharing an aspiration. Han Tamayang Utisana Titana Kata Yo Panama Se Imina Punya Kamena Upachaya Kunutara Acariyo Upakara Jamata Pita Jayataka Suryo Chantimara Chakuna Vantana Rapicha Brahma Maharaja Inta Jalo Kapala Jatevataยะโมมิตามนุสสาจะมัชฌัตตาเวริกาปิจาสัพเพสัตตาสุขีโหนตุปุญญานิปกตานิเมสุขันจติวิทังเทนตุขิปปังปาเปทโวมะตังอิมินาปุญญกรรมเมนะอิมินาอุทิเสนะจาขิปปาหังสุรเพเจวะตันหุปาทานะเชทนังเยสันตาเนหินาธัมมายาวะนิพพานโตมะมังนัสสันตุสัพพทาเยวะยัตถชาโตภเวภเวอุชุจิตตังสติปัญญาสันเลโควิริยัมหินามาราลพันตุโนกาสังกาตุนจาวิริเยสุเมพุทธาธิปาวโรนาโทธัมโมนาโทวรุตตโมนาโทปัจเจกพุทโธจะสังโฆนาโทตโรมะมังเตโสตมานุภาเวนะมาโรกาสังลพันตุมา Now let us chant the verses of sharing and aspiration. Through the goodness that arises from my practice, may my spiritual teachers and guides of great virtue, my mother, my father, and my relatives, the suns and the moon, and all virtuous leaders of the world, may the highest gods and evil forces, celestial beings, guardian spirit of the earth, and the Lord of death, may those who are friendly, indifferent, or hostile, may all beings receive the blessings of my life. May they soon attain the threefold bliss and realize the deathless. Through the goodness that arises from my practice, and through these acts of sharing, may all desires and attachments quickly cease, and all harmful states of mind, until I realize Nibbana in every kind of birth. May I have an upright mind with mindfulness and wisdom, austerity and vigor. May the forces of delusion not take hold, nor weaken my resolves. The Buddha is my excellent refuge, unsurpassed protection of the Dhamma. The solitary Buddha is my noble guide. The Sangha is my supreme support. Through the supreme power of all this, may darkness and delusion be dispelled. Okay, so next one we spreading the loving kindness, the universal well-being toward all living beings. Han Tamayang Metta Paranan Karoma Se Ahang Sukhito Homi Nitukho Homi Avero Homi Apaya Pacho Homi Aniko Homi Sukhi Atanang Pariharami Sapphe Satta Sukhita Hontu Sapphe Satta Avera Hontu Sapphe Satta Apaya Pacha Hontu Sapphe sattha anikha hontu, sapphe sattha sukhi attanang pariharantu, sapphe sattha sappatukha pamunchantu, sapphe sattha latha sampattito ma vikhanchantu, สัพเพสัตตากัมมะสกากัมมะทายาทากัมมะโยนิกัมมะปันทุกัมมะปฏิสารนายังกัมมังกริสันติกัลยาณังวาปาปะกังวาตัสสะทายาทาภวิสันติ Now let the chants or reflections on universal well-being. May I abide in well-being, in freedom from affliction, in freedom from hostility, in freedom from ill will, in freedom from anxiety. And may I maintain well-being in myself. May everyone abide in well-being, in freedom from hostility, in freedom from ill will, in freedom from anxiety, and may they maintain well-being in themselves. May all beings be released from all suffering, and may they not be parted from the good fortune they have attained when they act upon intentions. All beings are the owners of their actions and inherit its results. Their future is born from such actions, companion to such actions, and its results will be their home. All actions with intention, be they skillful or harmful, of such acts, they will be the heirs. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Now we continue on the Mahasatipatthana Sutta. There will be maybe up more. I think we in the Samadhi already, is it? See. Should be
page 71, right?
Page 71. Yeah, but it's on the. I think it's a lower. And almost. Dton, which the normal truth of the cessation of. Or the normal truth of the way leading to the cessation of suffering, right? Yeah, but
right.
We do the Pali first. So on the left side of the page. Yeah, okay, that's one. This is the last chapter on the Four Noble Truths, the Dukkha Nirodha Kamini Patipatha. Okay, so you start with this chanting on the path toward the end of suffering. กัตตมันจะภิกขเวทุกขานิโรธคามินีปฏิปทาอริยสัจจังอายเมวะอริโยอัตถังคิโกมัคโคสยทิทังสัมมาทิฏฐิสัมมาสังกัปโปสัมมาวาจาสัมมากัมมันโตสัมมาอาชีโวสัมมาวายาโมสัมมาสติสัมมาสมาธิกัตตมาจะภิกขเวสัมมาทิฏฐิยังโคภิกขเวทุกเขญาณังทุกขสมุทัยญาณังทุกขนิโรธญาณังทุกขนิโรธคามินิยาปฏิปทายญาณังอายังวุจติภิกขเวสัมมาทิฏฐิกัตตโมจะภิกขเวสัมมาสังกัปโปเนคขัมมะสังกัปโปอภยาปาทสังกัปโปอวิหิงสาสังกัปโปอายังวุจติภิกขเวสัมมาสังกัปโปกัตตมาจะภิกขเวสัมมาวาจามุสาวาทาเวรมณีปิสุนายาวาจายเวรมณีภรุสายาวาจายเวรมณีสัมผัปปลาปาเวรมณีอายังวุจติภิกขเวสัมมาวาจากัตตโมจะภิกขเวสัมมากัมมันโตปานาติปาตาเวรมณีอทินนาธานาเวรมณีกาเมสุมิชฌาจาราเวรมณี อายังวุจติภิกขเวสัมมากัมมันโตกัตโมจะภิกขเวสัมมาอาชีโวอิทัพภิกขเวอริยสาวโกมิจฉาอาชีวังปหายาสัมมาอาชีเวนะชีวิกังกัปเปติอายังวุจติภิกขเวสัมมาอาชีโวกัตโมจะภิกขเวสัมมาวายาโมอิทัพภิกขเวภิกขุอนุปปันนานังปาปกานังอกุศลานังธัมมานังอนุปาทายาฉันทังชเนติวายมติวิริยังอารภติจิตตังปักขันหาติปัฏหาติอุปปันนานังปาปกานังอกุศลานังธัมมานังปหานายาฉันทังชเนติวายมติวิริยังอารภติจิตตังปักขันหาติปัฏหาติอนุปปันนานังกุศลานังธัมมานังอุปาทายาฉันทังชเนติวายมติวิริยังอารภติจิตตังปักขันหาติปัฏหาติอุปปันนานังกุศลานังธัมมานังทิฏฐิยาอสัมโมสายาพิญโยภาวายาเวปุลายาภาวนายาปาริปุริยาฉันทังชเนติวายมติวิริยังอารภติจิตตังปักขันหาติปัฏหาติอายังวุจติภิกขเวสัมมาวายาโมกัตมาจะภิกขเวสัมมาสติอิทัพภิกขเวภิกขุกายเยกายานุปัสสีวิหรติอาตาปิสัมปชาโนสติมาวินัยโลเกอภิชาโทมนัสสังเวทนาสุเวทนานุปัสสีวิหรติอาตาปิสัมปชาโนสติมาวินัยโลเกอภิชาโทมนัสสังจิตเตจิตตานุปัสสีวิหรติอาตาปิสัมปชาโนสติมาวินัยโลเกอภิชาโทมนัสสังธัมเมสุธัมมานุปัสสีวิหรติอาตาปิสัมปชาโนสติมาวินัยโลเกอภิชาโทมนัสสังอายังวุจติภิกขเวสัมมาสติกัตโมจะภิกขเวสัมมาสมาธิอิทัพภิกขเวภิกขุวิวิจเจวกาเมหิวิวิจจะกุสเลหิธัมเมหิสวิตากังสวิจารังวิเวกฉังปีติสุขังปัฏมังชานะอุปสัมปัชชวิรติวิตักกวิจารานังอุปสมาอัจฉัตตังสัมปสาทนังเจตโสเอโกทิภาวังอวิตักกังอวิจารังสมาธิชังปีติสุขังทุติยังชานะอุปสัมปัชชวิหรติปีติยาจะวิราคาอุเปกขโกจะวิหรติสโตจะสัมปชาโนกะสุขันจะกายเยนะปฏิสังเวเทติยังตังอริยาอาจิขันติอุเปกขโกสติมาสุขวิหาริติตติยังชานังอุปสัมปัชชวิหรติสุขัสสะจะปหานาทุกขัสสะจะปหานาปุพเพวโสมนัสสะโทมนัสสานังอัตถังขมาอทุกขมสุขังอุเปกขาสติปาริสุทธิงจตุทังชานะอุปสัมปัชชวิหรติอายังวุจติภิกขเวสัมมาสมาธิอิทังวุจติภิกขเวทุกขนิโรธคามินีปฏิปทาอริยสัจจังอิติอัจฉัตตังวากายธัมเมสุธัมมานุปัสสีวิหรติปหิทธาวาธัมเมสุธัมมานุปัสสีวิหรติอัจฉัตตปหิทธาวาธัมเมสุธัมมานุปัสสีวิหรติสมุทัยธัมมานุปัสสีวาธัมเมสุวิหรติวยธัมมานุปัสสีวาธัมเมสุวิหรติสมุทัยวยธัมมานุปัสสีวาธัมเมสุวิหรติอัตติธัมมาติวาปนัสสติปัจจุปัฏฐิตาโหติยาวเทวยานมัตตายปฏิสติมัตตายาอนิสิโตจะวิหรตินัจจกินจิโลเกอุปาทิยติเอวัมปิโคภิกขเวภิกขุธัมเมสุธัมมานุปัสสีวิหรติจตุสุอริยสัจเจสุ Okay, so we do the translation. Go back to page 71. And what bhikkhus is the noble truth of the way leading to the cessation of suffering? It is this noble eightfold path, that is, right view, right intention, right speech, right action, right livelihood, right effort, right mindfulness, right concentration. And what bhikkhu is right view? Bhikkhus, the knowledge of suffering, knowledge of the origin of suffering, knowledge of the cessations of suffering, knowledge of the way leading to the cessations of suffering. This bhikkhu is called right view. And what bhikkhu is right intention? Intention of renunciation, intention of non-ill will, intentions of harmlessness. This bhikkhu is called right intention. And what bhikkhu is right speech? Abstinence from false speech, abstinence from divisive speech, abstinence from harsh speech, abstinence from idle chatter. This bhikkhu is called right speech. And what bhikkhu is right action? Abstinence from the destructions of life, abstinence from taking what is not given, abstinence from sexual misconduct. This bhikkhu is called right actions. And what bhikkhu is right livelihood? Here bhikkhus are noble disciples, having abandoned a long mode of livelihood, earns his living by a right livelihood. This bhikkhu is called right livelihood. And what bhikkhu is right effort? Here bhikkhus are bhikkhu for the non-arisings of unarisen evil, unwholesome states. He generates desires, make an effort, arouse energy, apply his mind and strives. For the abandoning of arising evil, unwholesome states. He generates desire, make an effort, arouses energy, apply his mind and strives. For the arisings of unarisen wholesome states. He generates desires, makes an effort, arouses energy, applies his mind, and strives. For the maintenance of arising wholesome states, for them non-decay, increase, expansion, and fulfillment by development. He generates desires, makes an effort, arouses energy, applies his mind, and strives. This bhikkhu is called right effort. And what bhikkhu is right mindfulness? Here bhikkhus, a bhikkhu dwells contemplating the body in the body, ardent, clearly comprehending, and mindful, having subdued longing and dejection in regard to the world. He dwells contemplating feelings in feelings, ardent, clearly comprehending, and mindful, having subdued longing and dejection in regard to the world. He dwells contemplating mind in mind, ardent, clearly comprehending, and mindful, having subdued longing and dejection in regard to the world. He dwells contemplating phenomena in phenomena, ardent, clearly comprehending, and mindful, having subdued longing and dejection in regard to the world. This bhikkhu is called right mindfulness. And what bhikkhu is right concentrations? Here bhikkhu, secluded from sensual pleasures, secluded from unwholesome states, accompanied by thought and examination, with rapture and happiness born of seclusions. A bhikkhu enters and dwells in the first jhana, which the subduing of thought and examination with internal confidence and unifications of mind, being without thought and examination, having the rapture and happiness born of concentration. He enters and dwells in the second jhana, with the fading away as well of rapture. He dwells equanimous and mindful and clearly comprehending. He experiences happiness with the body, that which the noble ones declare. He is equanimous, mindful, one who dwells happily. He enters and dwells in the third jhana, which the abandoning of pleasure, with the abandoning of pain, with the previous passing away of joy and displeasure, which is neither painful nor pleasant, and includes the purification of mindfulness by equanimity. He enters and dwells in the fourth jhana. This is called right concentration. This bhikkhu is called the noble truth of the way leading to the cessation of suffering. In this way, he dwells contemplating phenomena in phenomena internally, or he dwells contemplating phenomena in phenomena externally, or he dwells contemplating phenomena in phenomena both internally and externally, or else he dwells contemplating in phenomena its nature of arisings, or he dwells contemplating in phenomena its nature of vanishing, or he dwells contemplating in phenomena its nature of both arising and vanishing, or else mindfulness that there are phenomena is simply established in him to the extent necessary for bare knowledge and repeated mindfulness, and he dwells independent, not clinging to anything in the world. That is how bhikkhus, a bhikkhu dwells contemplating phenomena in terms of the Four Noble Truths. Sadhu, sadhu.
We will now request for the true refuge and 5 and 8 precepts together. We will begin by bowing 3 times. First bow. Second bow. Third bow. Mayang bante ti saranena saha atta pancha silani yachama dutiyampi mayang bante ti saranena saha atta pancha silani yachama tatiyampi mayang bante ti saranena saha atta pancha silani yachama.
นะโมตัสสะภะคะวะโตอะระหะโตสัมมาสัมพุทธัสสะนะโมตัสสะภะคะวะโตอะระหะโตสัมมาสัมพุทธัสสะนะโมตัสสะภะคะวะโตอะระหะโตสัมมาสัมพุทธัสสะ
นะโมตัสสะภะคะวะโตอะระหะโตสัมมาสัมพุทธัสสะนะโมตัสสะภะคะวะโตอะระหะโตสัมมาสัมพุทธัสสะนะโมตัสสะภะคะวะโตอะระหะโตสัมมาสัมพุทธัสสะ
พุทธังสรณังคัจฉามิ
พุทธังสารนังกัจฉามิ
ธัมมังสรณังคัจฉามิ
ธัมมังสารนังกัจฉามิ
สังฆังสรณังคัจฉามิ
สังฆังสารนังกัจฉามิ
ติยัมปิพุทธังสรณังคัจฉามิ
ทุติยัมปิพุทธังสารนังกัจฉามิ
ติยัมปิธัมมังสรณังคัจฉามิ
ทุติยัมปิธัมมังสารนังกัจฉามิ
ตุติยัมปิสังฆังสรณังคัจฉามิ
ทุติยัมปิสังฆังสารนังกัจฉามิ
ตติยัมปิพุทธังสรณังคัจฉามิ
ตติยัมปิพุทธังสารนังกัจฉามิ
ตติยัมปิธัมมังสรณังคัจฉามิ
ตติยัมปิธัมมังสารนังกัจฉามิ
ตติยัมปิสังฆังสรณังคัจฉามิ
ตติยัมปิสังฆังสารนังกัจฉามิ
สรณคัมมนังนิทิตัง
อามาบันเต
ปานาทิปาตาเวระมณีสิกขาปะทังสมาธิยามิ
ปานาทิปาทาเวรามณีสิกขาปะทังสมาธิยามิ
อทินนาทานาเวระมณีสิกขาปะทังสมาธิยามิ
อาดีนาดานาเวรามณีสิกขาปะทังสมาธิยามิ
กาเมสุมิชฌาจาราเวระมณีสิกขาปะทังสมาธิยามิ
กาเมสุมิจฉาจาระเวรมณีสิกขาปะทังสมาธิยามิ
อุสาวาทาเวระมณีสิกขาปะทังสมาธิยามิ
มุสาวาดาเวรามณีสิกขาปะทังสมาธิยามิ
กะสุราเมรยมัชฌปมาทัฏฐานาเวระมณีสิกขาปะทังสมาธิยามิ
สุราเมรยามัจจาปมาดัฏฐานาเวรามณีสิกขาปะทังสมาธิยามิ
So now for the 8th precept. อพรหมจริยาเวระมณีสิกขาปะทังสมาธิยามิ
อาบรหมชาริยาเวรามณีสิกขาปะทังสมาธิยามิ
วิกาลโภชนาเวระมณีสิกขาปะทังสมาธิยามิ
วิคาลาโภจานาเวรามณีสิกขาปะทังสมาธิยามิ
นัจจคีตวาทิตวิสุกทัสสนา มาลาคันทะวิเลปนะธารณะมันดนะวิปูสนัฏฐานาเวรมณีสิกขาปะทังสมาธิยามิ
นาชากิตาวัดิตาวิสุขาดัสสนะมาลากันตาวิเลปนาดารณามันดลาวิกุสนาธานาเวรมณีสิกขาปะทังสมาธิยามิ
อุจจาสยนะมหาสยนาเวรมณีสิกขาปะทังสมาธิยามิ
วุชาสยนามหาสยนาเวรมณีสิกขาปะทังสมาธิยามิ
อิมานิปัญจอัฏฐสิกขาปทานิสมาธิยามิ
อิมานิอัตตาสิกขาปทานิสมาธิยามิอิมานิอัตตาสิกขาปทานิสมาธิยามิอิมานิอัตตาสิกขาปทานิสมาธิยามิ
สีเลนะสุขติงยันติสีเลนะโภคสัมปทาสีเลนะนิพพุติงยันติตัสมาสีรังวิโสทะเย
สาธุสาธุสาธุ Let us bow 3 times. Let's bow. Second bow. Third bow. We will now formally request for the Dhamma Talk. Brahma Chaloka Dipati Sahampati Katanjali Ana Vivarang Ayachata Santi Dasata Araja Kajatika Dese tu Dhamma Anukam Pimang Pajang
นะโมตัสสะภะคะวะโตอะระหะโตสัมมาสัมพุทธัสสะนะโมตัสสะภะคะวะโตอะระหะโตสัมมาสัมพุทธัสสะนะโมตัสสะภะคะวะโตอะระหะโตสัมมาสัมพุทธัสสะพุทธังธัมมังสังฆังนะมัสสามิสุโขวิเวโกตุทัสสาติ Okay, so see you again everybody for the New Year's. So we start the new year. So this is the convention. So somehow we make arrangement that okay, this is called the starting of a new year. But all it is the Dhamma evolving moment by moment. But for some conventional purpose, we agree, we have a common agreement that this is called New Year's. So the convention, maybe I will speak about this topic of convention. In Pali, it's called sammutti or convention. How important it is as a convention. Actually, it's many translation for the word sammutti. The simple translation is convention, but it can also mean like the label or the myth, basically whatever kind of narrative or the meaning that we assign to the reality. You can see that the reality is just arising and passing away according to cause and condition. And in order for it to mean something, we have to interpret it. We have to put the interpretation into this fact in order to make sense of it. So we make sense of the world to this ability of human to derive, because say there are millions of things arising and passing away at this moment. Why we we identify with certain group of reality, and we link it with certain connection. We stick it with the string of event, and we narrative the story of we create ourselves within this reality. Different culture do it different way, and actually this is the special ability for human beings. If you read the book *Sapien*, which is a very popular this day, the author, the professor, he argued that the fact that we humans is surpassing all the animal kingdom or even other humans being, we become the only species, the Homo sapiens, because we are able to make use of this convention, of this so-called story. They said, let's say the animal, they can cooperate to a certain extent. Like you have a beehive, you have the pack of wolves going and hunt together, the bee arranged with the queen and all those things. But it's very limited. You can't organize more than say hundreds of thousands. That they come to the limit. But human beings, we can come together and helping each other coordinate. And we have to believe in the same story, and that the ability to create this convention, this story that make us be able to compete with other species. And basically we like human, we are the only species of humans who survive Homo sapien, because this means that we have this ability to make the story. And the author of this book saying that, okay, say for example, you can't convince the gorilla or the monkey that, okay, if you do this and this, and then when you go to heaven, you can get say a dozen of banana. They will not work because they don't know what the concept of heaven is. But for human, people can convince to believe in certain story and to do certain things to get to withhold the gratification right now, to wait for something that will come later on. Whatever it is, heaven is one of these concepts, by this author, he thinks that it's a concept, but it's the same for like say money. Money is also a story. And the fact that we believe that this piece of paper, probably now is changing now, is maybe some digital kind of store somewhere, a record of your such and such, you have this amount in the bank, so you can make use of that. You can go and buy banana, buy food. So even this convention, but it can turn into some reality. Say you can, even the money is a story, but because everybody believe in it, actually it's probably one of the things that most people believe is you go to anywhere, this piece of money can worth, and you can go and get to trade with something else. So that become reality, and because we are so good at it right now, actually the world is almost depend on how we use this convention. People who have a lot of money can make a decision. Say they want to clear up the Amazon forest because they want to make this piece of paper, they can do. And a lot of life of animals is depend on this convention. So this is not something that is lightly. It's very serious about. People take it to be real. And certain organization like Google, Apple, whatever, it just people come together with this concept. We believe in the same story that make we evolve in certain way. So that's why maybe I want to talk about this myth again, because as we going in a new year, there's so many stories. I mean, they said the world is made out of story. What our myth that we live by will tell us what do we think regard as our meaning in our life. See, we are the main character in our own story, whatever story it is. If we have a good story, then hopefully that will bring happiness and whatever thing that we want to achieve. But if we live in the wrong story, it can make a lot of trouble and problem. And worse, if you don't have any story at all, be void of meanings, and you can do a lot of stupid things that bring a lot of suffering. So even though it's good to go out of this story one in a while, actually the fact that we meditate, just focus on what arising and passing away, is a very good way of getting out of all this story. And to know that story is just story is important, because if you don't have a story, you don't know what to do. You have to have certain narrative, what the meaning and how to interact with people. And once in a while, you have a chance to be back to yourself, sit, meditate, observing the breathing in and out, and to pull yourself out of the story. This is just a story. We created ourselves. Some story is popular, everybody believe in it. Some story is only your own. You have your own dream and your imagination. And there's a saying that the public dream, the myth is a public dreams, and the private myth is the private myth is a dream. Basically, this interchange, when you go and dream yourself, but you can make people dream at the same way, it becomes the myth of the society. And the same way, the myth of the society is the myth is just a private dream. When you internalize it, it becomes your narrative, your destination. And in many ways, we live in the myth or the dream of the people who already passed away, the ancestor. Yeah. For example, the ancestors create the city out of their own concept of what it means to be a civil society. And because they put a lot of investment, effort into building it, now we enjoy the result of it. So in many ways, we live in the dream of the people who already passed away. So the same way, whatever we dream, then our next generation we have to live with our dreams. Whatever we see, whatever we shape the world, civilization, that what gonna affect the people in the future. So it's good to learn about what our myth or our dream that we live by, what is driving us. And it seems to be, for me at least, when I study, there's the big myth or the myth of the religions in the Middle East. There's a lot of them generate from this Genesis, the Garden of Eden, and this tree of life, tree of knowledge, with this God forbidden fruit, which is he said to Adam and Eve that you can eat anything in the garden, but not this particular fruit. Is the apple fruit. And then for some reason the snake sneak in and convince Eve to taste it, because when you taste it, you have a knowledge of good and evil. So Eve basically believed in the snake and take it and give it to Adam. He also take a bite, and it become the Adam apples. So that the organ that we create sound coming from apple. Actually, the root of appa is means sound as well. So it's mean like when you take the apple, you have your own voice. Before you just live, you just one among many. You don't have any your own individuality is not there. But when you have your own voice. You take this apple, and Adam, first of all, he know what good and evil, and the first thing he knows is he's naked, and he have to put the cloth on. And because he doesn't follow the God instruction not to eat it, then he was expelled from the garden of God. And then now he have to work, have to earn a living to support Eve, and both of them have kids and all those things. And these kids, their son finally end up killing each other and start this kind of violence. And human beings, they believe that is a progeny of these first two humans. It's no wonder why we have a lot of conflicts, because these brothers are killing each other, and they also invent weapon, and also a lot of killing in the story, and eventually end with the flooding, and people basically only the few survive. So this is one of the myths that's very interesting at how it shapes our perception toward ourselves, maybe unconsciously. For example, people in the West sometimes they feel like they have this original sin. Sometimes they believe that they're not good enough. Say they do something good, and all of a sudden maybe they have some kind of malicious thought pop up in their head, and they just identify it right away. They say, see, all the thing I'm do, it just cover up. Deep down in myself, I have this kind of original sin. So they're not feeling at ease with themselves. So it's somehow that's why it's difficult sometimes to taste the Westerner to do the loving kindness start with themselves, because they not love themselves. So sometimes you have to start with a puppy or kitten or whatever, and slowly work toward their own self. So there are many kind of consequences with that kind of concept of basically you have to bear the burden of the sin that is done by your father and mother, and that how generate the whole idea of relationship to the world and all those things. But I want to put it contrast with another myth, which I think is very pretty much along the same line, but it's take a different turn. This myth is from the Chataka story. I don't know if you're familiar with Chataka story. It's probably one of the very old story that been handed down to us. And this called the Mahachanaka story. The story starts with the king in Mithila city, and he has two sons. This king, and he gives his kind of throne to one son and make another one basically helper. But when he passed away, these two sons, the older brother ruled the country, and the younger one is kind of helping, supporting him. But somehow the minister want kind of go to the king and say, your brother is a treason. He want to get your throne. So first he doesn't believe it, but after repeatedly do that again, he finally convinced. So he take his younger brother, put him in prison. But his brother doesn't have any malicious thought at all. He just fully support the king. But because now he's trapped, so he made this kind of truthful commitment. He said, okay, if in my mind, I didn't have any ill will toward my brother, may this prison broke and I go free. So because he real, his mind is real, so he able to go free, and he go out and he's create his own country somewhere. So he's quite popular. He's probably very capable of doing things. So people slowly flocking around him, and he create his own army. And finally he go back and fight for the kingdom. He said, before I never think of anything about my brother, but since he put me in jail, so now I want the revenge. I want to take a kingdom. So he go and then challenge his older brother to fight. So his older brother has a wife who pregnant. So before he go out to fight, he said, okay, if anything happened to me, at least you go and then keep my son. So he go out fighting on the elephant, and he got killed by his younger brother. So this queen, the previous queen, now have to be try to escape from the city. So she finally go to another city with the help of the Indra, of the god, and she deliver son, which is called Mahachanaka. This is the Bodhisattva who is the son here. So the son grow up, and he was basically teased by other children that this son doesn't have father. So one day he asked the mother, "Who is my father?" And the mother doesn't want to tell him. So he said, "This Swami is such and such is your father." But again, he doesn't satisfy. So finally, he said, "If you're not giving me the right answer, I will bite your breast." He's still breastfed at that time. So the mother have to give him the straightforward answer, which is your previous king that was killed. This is your father. So now he's very proud now that I'm the son of the king. So even though he's being teased by his friend, he doesn't regret. He said, because deep down he know that I have the descendant from the king. So when he grew up to be a teenager, he sell the property, that's a certain ring that is very precious that his mother gave him. So he sell that and he set up the journey towards Suvarnabhumi, which is the Southeast Asia. This is where the Thailand, Burmese, and Laos at that time is probably still it's probably the same place called Suvarnabhumi. So we have to sail with the ship with many people across the sea. So he make the journey. Hopefully that he will raise up a lot of money so he can go back and he can fight to win back to fight for his throne. But when he traveled to the sea, about 7 days after he left the shore, they faced a very strong wind and probably the hurricane or whatever. So it's make the ship wrecked. So, but he have a lot of determination that I want to survive this. So he take all this very high energy, this butter or this oil, and he fed it up and he start to swim. So he swim for 7 days across the ocean. This is one of the greatest kind of striving. This is most of people identify this lifespan as see the example of how the Buddha in the previous life strive, even though he doesn't see the shore, he's still swimming for 7 days straight. So finally the heaven come, the Kali Mekhala is the name of the goddess, goddess of the sky. She come down and she asked a few questions. Why you do this? You swim, everybody die. Why you still doing this? And Chanaka said, this is the striving of the human beings. I would, even though I'm the last one, I still want to do it the best I can. So finally, the goddess took him, put it to the palace. So he was put under this mango tree and this in the royal palace. And it happened to be this king who his uncle passed away, and he has only one daughter. And before he passed away, he said, "Whoever please my daughter and know the hiding of this 16 treasure, then that person will be made as a king." So when he go there, he end up can solve all the problem of the 16 and dig up all this treasure of the 16 spot, and then please the king daughter, and then he become the king. So one day he go out with a group of people to this garden, and upon entering, there's 2 mango tree. One is very beautiful, but have some fruit, have a mango fruit in that. The other one is exactly the same, but it's no fruit. So he make a note, but he grabs on this one mango and he tastes it. It tastes very good. So he think that, oh, on the way back, when I come out of it, I will take more. So he go in, enjoy the pleasure for a day, come out in the afternoon, in the evening. What he find out? He find out that the mango tree that has the fruit basically almost gone. People, the branch is falling down. It's a lot of mark on it. So he asked, "What happened? What's going on?" So he asked the servant. The servant said, "Oh king, people are waiting for you because the mango, nobody there to eat it. But once the king have it, the king has the first fruit, then everybody want it. The ministry want it, the treasurer want it, or the soldier want it. So anybody who can get it, grasp it. Anybody who can't get it, basically use all the means to get it one way or the other. That's why the mango tree is like that." So the king got thinking, "Oh yeah, this is what happened between this tree and this tree. The tree with the fruit, because many people want it, so it's in bad shape, almost gone. But the tree that is no fruit is still proper, very bright and shiny. So it's like me. Yeah, I'm having this treasure, a lot of business. I have to do a lot of it. So I'm like a mango tree with the fruit, being the target of many things. Maybe I should renounce it. It's time for me now. I work for some time now, so I should further my path, going to another direction in my life." So he go back and then tell the servant, "Okay, from now on I will be meditate. Just bring me food once a day. That's it." So he tried out for 7 months. Basically, try social isolation. Basically, meditate, and he got a lot of peaceful. Actually, he would say he's so happy compared to the happiness from central pressure, from the sense stimulation that he has before, as when he was a king. Now he was basically content to himself, live very simply, just 1 meal a day, simple clothing, just meditate. So yeah, I want to do it for the rest of my life. So he ended up tell the servant to, "Okay, now go and then bring me robes and the baking bowls. Now I want to ordain." And then he have the servant to cut off his hair, and he go out to the forest. But the queen come back, and she don't want the king to go. She begging, "Oh, please stay." The queen is very smart, so she tried various ways. But doesn't work. The king want to go anyway, and basically just on the step that the king he want to, because the king is already ordained, he already a monk, so he walked, but the queen still walking behind him. So the king has to show her that now he's the armed mendicant. So one time he go and in the market and he got this leftover food from a dog. That is so he take it without any feel of disgust. He just clean it and eat it. And the queen said, "Oh, how dare you are the king and you eat leftover from a dog?" The king said, no, this is considered pure. It's leftover. The dog doesn't need it anymore, and it's enough for me to sustain my life. So he changed. Now he become the armed mendicant, living depend on the generosity of people. So he established this kind of lineage of the armed mendicants. And you can say that even now to this day, as a monk, we are following this example of the Buddha. People still feed us. It's like a scholarship, 5,000 years scholarship, where all you need is a rope and the bowls, and you go out and people feed you. I mean, how good could that be? You can practice the spiritual life without worry about what to eat, what to wear. It's just people support you. That's a lot to say about the Buddha create this lifestyle. And he also, the queen still follow him. So he meet the little girls playing, and the little girl has one bracelet in her wrist, and the other hand has 2 bracelets. So the one with the 2 making a noise all the time when she pray. So this Chanaka asked the little girl, "Why on this hand make a lot of noise? Why on this hand is only 1 bracelet doesn't have a noise?" So the little girl said, "Oh, it's easy, because when you have 2 bracelets, it's kind of click on each other, it's make a noise." So Chanaka point out to the queen, "See, when you leave 2, you are subject to conflict. It's a nature of the having a family. It's not always agree every time. I mean, people who have a family probably know, and it's just a nature. It's very difficult. I mean, even you live with yourself, sometimes you're not pleased with yourself, not to mention live with other people. And the fact that you have to adjust all the time is a lot of conflicts that are difficult to solve. Sometimes you have a lot of problems. That's why people broke up. So he point out toward that having just alone, living by yourself is probably easier for you to follow this spiritual path. So the queen still doesn't convince, so she follow him again. So now he meet with the arrow man. He try to bend the arrow. You have to make it very straight for it to hit the target. So when he do that, you have to set up the fire, put this piece of wood, and then when he aim it, he have to use one eye to see. And the Bodhisattva asks, why do you do that? He said, you can't use two eyes. When you want to aim at something, you have to use only one eye because you can see straight. And Bodhisattva said, see, the queen, only way for you to have a right aim is to have one eye because it's only just one. You have a single aim. You open two eyes, you can't shape it because you don't know how it's go. So the queen still doesn't convince, so she still follow. So the last step, the Bodhisattva, he pull out this muncha grasses, the grass that is usually met up together. This is a similar, the Buddha compared to the Paticca how the thing, this is because this is so complicated. Start with avijja and all these sankhara, vinyana, all these things tied together. So he brought it up and he take one piece of grass and said, I'm separate from you like this. So it's just no way that we can go back together. So finally the queen got a message and she go back, and then she brought her son to be a king. And actually she herself eventually she ordained herself and then practice jhana and go to heaven, go to the Brahma world with the same. This Bodhisattva, he go deep in the forest and he meditate, and eventually he go to the Brahma world as well. So this is one of the example that I think is the myth is different. I mean, it's take a turn from the garden. See, actually the word in Pali, the word mango, we translate mango, but in Pali it's called ampa. Ampo is a mango, ampo, mango. So actually the word is the same. See, ampa and apple is the same thing. So because in India there's no apple, there has some mango, and in Western that have no mango is only apple. So this is tree, it's just symbol of the fruit. Whatever it is, it's just a fruit that people take. And so the ampa can mean many things. The ampa, if it's the masculine, ampo is mean mango. If it's the feminine, ampa is mean female, is mean woman. And if it's ampang, neutral, is mean water. So I see it has a lot of meaning there. It can mean sound. There was the elements of ampa mean sound. So that means the symbol of you have your own voice. The Adam apple is there. The symbol of being down. The water is always going down. The Buddha always compared the sensuality, sensual pressure like a water. It's flooding the ship. You want to go to the other shore, the boat to the shore. You don't want the water, too much water. It will sink your ship down. So the Buddha always compare the water with the sensuality, the pressure. Of course, the ampa means woman. The greatest sensuality for man is a woman, and the opposite for the woman also the man. So this symbol of renouncing the sensuality, sensual pressure, which is considered hindrances. See, if you not have this myth, you think of the sensuality as something that you're pursuing. What happens when you take the apple and you just keep taking it again and then end up fighting, and war is the product of that, and flooded. Actually, what the world is leading towards that destruction, because we only put everything as a sensual pressure. That's why we cut down all the forest, turn it into money so that we can buy the pressure, we can gratify our need. But there's another path, the path that not needing taking this fruit at all. I mean, of course, you might take it like the Mahasatta, Mahachanaka, but when he tastes it, and he know that when he come out, everybody gonna want the same thing. And people who have the ability to take it can, but people who can't have it will thaw it down, right? It is what happened with the political for the past few hundred years. This is what happened when people fighting and a lot of political turmoil. They just fighting for central pressure, fighting for power. Why they want the power so they can buy the central pressure. So the future of the world, when you have this myth of only you're trapped in this apple tree kind of complex, just fighting over who's gonna get the most mango tree at the expense of the destruction of the world. But another myth is that to renounce it, to go forth, because you can receive the higher happiness by renouncing. The Buddha said, if you're renouncing the mundane pressure for the higher form of happiness, and the happiness is even higher. And the Pali stanza that I start in my talk, Sukho Viveko Tuttasa. Sukho means happiness, Viveko means seclusion. So the Buddha say actually the seclusion is happiness, which is the opposite. These say people have a lot of problem with social distancing. Some people commit suicide because they're not used to it. The enjoy sense pressure, you need a lot of mess up. You have to a lot of socializing to derive this pressure from seeing, hearing, tasting, smelling, have a nice tactile. It requires a lot of that kind of interaction, social interaction. But when you renounce that, you shift the source of happiness from having this stimulation of these senses to the peacefulness of the mind. It's a peace of mind actually when you go toward the new myth of the meaning of life, to pursue higher form of happiness. Sometimes I go to the West. It's just sometimes very old people still putting a lot of red lipstick and still walking with the husband or wife is still kissing each other. You just say that they're acting like a teenager because they don't have any way of experiencing the deeper form of happiness. Actually, when you go older, the sensuality is you can't enjoy it at the same way before because your senses is not that good anymore. So you better find out the other source of happiness. The happiness is coming from renunciation, coming from dana, giving away, coming from taking the precept, leading the moral life, the life that is not hurting or harming any living beings. It's called a win-win situation where your own pressures amount to other people's happiness. So they are both nourishing each other. It's a very strong supportive for higher form of happiness, which is happiness from have a content, have a peace of mind. Actually, the stanza that I give you is coming from after the Buddha get enlightened under the Bodhi tree, he spent a week enjoying the happiness from liberation, called Vimutti Sukha. And this is the first stanza, the Sukho Viveko Tuttasa, Sutta Dhammasa Passato. Happiness is the seclusion, or seclusion is happiness, but it's not for everybody. The only seclusion that brings happiness is for the people who is content and who is seeing the Four Noble Truths. You have to have the framework of how to work this out. You have to have a right myth. Actually, the Noble Truth is not the myth. It's the only thing that's out of the myth. It's just talking about suffering and the end of suffering. This is totally a void of myth. But you have to understand that this is you are working on your mind. What is suffering? What is the cause of suffering? And how to end it is path toward it. And then the second stanza second verse called Appaya Pachang Sukhang Loke Pana pu te su sanyamo. It means to be the happiness that comes from not harming. Is called metta, and not hurting. Everybody has a friend, looking at each other with a friendly eye and not wish harm on one another. So it's called metta karuna, the loving kindness and compassion. So this is the second, another form of happiness. And the third one is called sukha virakata roke kamanang samatikamo. Sukha, happiness. Virakata means renunciation or disenchantment. Got enough. Kamanang samatikamo. Going beyond the sensuality, the sense pleasure. So this actually is a happiness from anakami, non-returner, the one who abandoned sensual pleasure altogether, not coming back. So this anakami will, if he reborn again, he will born in the Brahma and he will nibbana from there. And the last one is called asamimana vinayo. Basically, get rid of the asamimana, consists of I am. Asamimana is mana. Mana is mean conceit. When you compare to yourself, I'm better than other people, I the same, or I less other people. This is called mana. And actually interesting because the word Adam, the first human being, which when you take the apple, Adam is from Atman. Atman is self. Sense of self is a titti. Actually, when you the sense of sakaya titti, you identify this is me and mine. You reborn into the world. So it's very comparable between these myths. It's very interesting to maybe have another more detail of study of the root of the meaning, so that why it takes turn. For example, I have my own theory about the word sin. People sin is usually translated as evil, but I think sin is more like in Pali it's called sineha. Sineha is actually is mean craving. Is tanha sineha. Actually, sineha is from the word something sticky, something it's like the fruit that have the kind of the water or the what's called the resin that when it can take root. When you have this moisture in the fruit, it can grow. So the sineha is like that. Basically ability to attach the attachment. So that's why you call it original sin, because you need the kama tanha, bhava tanha, the craving for sensuality, or the craving for existence, or craving of non-existence. So that the tanha that bring people get reborn again. So for me, the word sin is basically just the word sineha, which is the tanha, that the cause of all suffering. But you have a way to transcend it. You don't stick with that. You have a choice not to take the mango the first place. You just go in the forest, go to another direction, renounce it all together, not to go and trap and fight into this world of fighting who's going to get the most mango out of this destruction, lead to destruction. So this is the myth that we have to identify it. What the myth do we live by? Actually, this is a word of Carl Jung. He's a Swiss psychologist. He studied many myths in many different cultures, and he basically, because he psychologist, he studied how the myth affect behavior of people, how people lead their life. Actually, the myth create the whole culture. But on his deathbed, he reflects upon himself. So actually, he found out that the man is a myth creator. You can't live without the myth. So he asked himself, what the myth I live by? It's basically asked the same question: what is the meaning of my life? What is your story? Why do we born in the first place? So human beings, we can't derive from facts like the data of arising and passing away, this is and this is considered have this effect causing this. Our mind doesn't perceive in that way. We perceive as a story. We are the main character of the narrative that we do, and that identify our own meaning. Whatever your meaning is, to take care of others, to fulfill this job, to create something benefit to the humanity, whatever it is, that you have to have some story in that for that to be a real meaning for human. So you have to find it your own path. So that is why it's very important. People these days they kill the God. People in the West, the God is killed. So they no longer have this meaning because they rely on this supernatural commanding, do this, not this. But the Dhamma, the reality doesn't work like that. It doesn't have the God who will command you to do this or command you to go to hell or heaven. It's just by nature. If it's wholesome, then the result will be happiness. If it's unwholesome, the result will be suffering. And this is the law of nature. Whether the Buddha born or not, it doesn't affect. The good action, the wholesome action always bring the good result, happiness result. The bad action, the evil one, the one with unwholesome, then will bring the bad result. So this is very, it's a law of nature. It's work like that all the time. Whether the Buddha is born or not, whether we are here or not, this rule is still applied. So the fact that we just learn about this rule and have to have a myth that according to it, to take the reality as the rising and pass away noble fruit, and whatever myth that you're going to create around it to make you follow that will be the convention. That actually that's how the Buddha is so great, because he can make use of convention. He created the whole Sangha. He laid out all many rules, because he know the reality, he know the Dhamma. That's why he's the most suitable for make the convention out of that. So if we know the reality, then we can apply the law that match it. So like the rule, if you harm, you kill, then there's such and such penalty. Living as a monk, everything is very detailed, but it's also the life of learning. Again, you are a student of why doing this is break or why it's not. And over time, this is because of that, because you have to be doing certain way. And if the Buddha draw the line like this, then to go across it, then it will have the drawback in that other area. So it's the lifelong study of how this mind works, using this form as a student of reality, student of you knowing your own body and mind, and creates this myth, the myth of the story that the story of liberation, the story of going beyond the cycle of rebirth. In the end, it's just the Four Noble Truth in action. When you have the cause of suffering, the craving, then the result it will be suffering. And then the path towards cessation of suffering is a noble eightfold path that you have to cultivate and make it work. So this is become the basically the quest, the quest for the holy life, called the Brahmacharya. The Brahma is like the God. You become like a God. Basically, you pursue the truth of knowledge, this seeking for the meaning of life. What is really mean to be living a human being? What is mean to have the happiness? What is the real happiness? Or is the happiness exist? Or maybe I can ask you whether the happiness and free from suffering, is it the same or not? Maybe I pose the question to you. It's good to find out, what is in your mind, whether having happiness or another one is free from suffering. Are there two separate goals, or is the same goal? Anybody? I think the happiness is mainly religion can teach you to path to happiness. And you have so many levels of happiness. Usually the happiness from getting what you want, right? Happiness have to have a sense of acquiring or tasting something to have the happiness. But the free from suffering is another thing altogether. It doesn't require uptake or getting. You just want to be free from suffering. So if you can answer that question and you can choose for yourself whether you want to be happy or you want to be free from suffering. Because sometimes it's two separate paths. The path toward happiness and the path to be free from all suffering. And sometimes you have to make a decision. Which path is worth pursuing. So I think this, as the new year comes, so you can maybe sit back and ask yourself, what myth do you live by? What do you see yourself as a hero in your own story? Because that is the meaning, basically. What you make out of your life. So you are the own main character. And if you pick the right myth, then it should lead to be free from suffering. I mean, in the end, what is the truth? The suffering is truth. When you get a pain, when you go old, when you get ill, when you get COVID, this is real. The suffering is there, right? Maybe people talk about this thing is a kind of illusion. This maybe it's just surreal. It's not really. It's a simulation somehow. We're not really. But so what is real now? People get confused now. We have to go back to the basic. Whatever suffering, this is real. Old age, real. Sickness is real. Death is real. And birth is also real. Well, this is the truth of suffering. This is the real truth that you can. Otherwise, you don't have anything to support. And then there's also cost of it. The craving, want to exist, that's also real. And the cessation of it also real. And the Nirodha, it's possible to be free from all this. And the Noble Eightfold Path is also real. Because you can completely, once and for all, destroy the craving. And when you see things so clearly, you don't want it anymore. It's just suffering arising and passing away. So you're letting go. So this is also true. So that's why the truth can't be anything more or less than four. It have to be four. Cause and effect, cause and effect. Both the grasping side and the letting go side. The grasping and the result of grasping. This is pain, suffering. And letting go and the path toward the letting go. So they're always four. Four path of the Buddha. Why the Buddha say all he teaches the suffering and the end of suffering. And that will go beyond story. But you need story, you need the myth to get there. So I hope that you find your own myth in the new year coming. And when you find your own meaning in life, strive for it. Whatever you're pursuing, be there happiness or free from suffering, just put wholeheartedly there. Life is short. You're not sure when tomorrow comes whether you have a chance or not. If in this day you might catch a cold, and the next day you'll be in ICU and be alone, completely isolation from your family and friends. And that time will be proof whether which one is your refuge. If you refuge in the Four Noble Truth, there's still work for you to do to understand this life, understand why we so identify with it so much, and how to let go of it. So I hope my reflection for today is bring happiness to the New Year days, and hope that you, whatever the path you choose, may you feel free from suffering. The year is very difficult, but difficulty doesn't mean suffering. You have an option. With the difficulty, you can choose to bear it without suffering. If you know Four Noble Truth, not identify with it, it's just suffering arising and passing away due to cause and condition. And we can find a way to gain it by practice and make to perfection of the Noble Eightfold Path. Okay, so I did my Dhamma talk for today at this point.
Dhamayang Dhamma Kataya Sadhu Karang Dadamase
Sadhu, 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 Anumodamase. Thank you, Tan Ajahn, for the very meaningful New Year teaching. Let us pay respect to Tan Ajahn again by bowing 3 times. First bow. Second bow. Third bow.
Okay, so I will lead you to cross the session. Arahang Samma Sambuddho Bhagava Puttang Bhagavantang Abhivatemi Sawakhato Bhagavata Dhammo Dhammang Namasami Supatipanno Bhagavato Sāvaka Saṅkho Saṅghang Namami. Okay, see you next week.
Thank you, Tan Ajahn. See you next week.